in this Psalm 34 verse 7, he said something that the angel of Yah encamps around the righteous. Those that fear Yah. The angel of Yah encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. And delivers them. In Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 13, it says, fear Yah and keep his commandment, for this is the whole duty of man. Of course, you know that also applies to women, because the scripture addresses the men. So it also said in Psalm, like it says, precept upon precept, line upon line. So if you go to Psalm 111, I'm talking about fearing Yah, because it's important. If we are going to take note, if we're going to take note of Psalm 34 verse 7, which is very important, it's very important, because it says that the angel of Yah encamps around those that fear Yah. It's a very important scripture. If we are going to take note of that and hope to have the angel of Yah encamp, and protect us, then we should understand, when it says to fear Yah. I know we've studied about fearing Yah here, but it's been a while. And not all of you may have been here then. So if you go to Psalm 111, Psalm 111, Psalm 111, verse 10. Psalm 111, verse 10. It says this. Psalm 111, verse 10. 111, verse 10. It says, the fear of Yah is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all those who do his commandment. His praise endures forever. So to fear Yah means to keep his commandment. That's what it means to fear Yah. So, like when you say a God-fearing man, that's a man that keeps Yah's commandment. Or a God-fearing woman, or a God-fearing child. That's somebody that keeps his commandment. That's what it means to fear Yah. Because if you don't fear him, you're not going to keep his commandments. You will not. So, those that the angel of Yah will protect are those that keep the commandment. Those that fear Yah, they are the ones that the angels of Yah will protect. It says that the angel of Yah encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. Yes, amen to that. So, but it's not for everyone though. It's for those that fear Yah, that keeps his commandment, which is what we're doing today, as in keeping the Sabbath. But if you go down to verse 19, in verse 19, it says, many are the afflictions of the wicked. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but Yah delivers him out of them all. Many are the afflictions of the righteous. Remember, the righteous is also the person that keeps the law, like you will see in Luke, with the mother of John the Baptist, his mother and his father. They were considered to be righteous. Why? because they kept the law. So if you go to Luke chapter 1, verse 5 and Luke chapter 1, verse 5 and verse 6. Luke chapter 1, verse 5 and verse 6, it says, "There was in those days of Herod, the king of Judah, a certain priest named Zachariah, of the division of Abiah. His wife was of the daughter of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth." Verse 6, "And they were both righteous before Yah, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of Yah, blameless." It says in Luke chapter 1, verse 5 and verse 6. In verse 6, it says that they kept the commandments of Yah blameless. So that contradicts those that say that nobody can keep the law. Because these people, the Bible said that they kept it blameless. It was not Yeshua. Yeshua was not the only one that kept the commandments of Yah blameless. Yeshua was not the only one. Because sometimes people will say that nobody can keep the law, that only Yeshua was able to keep the law blameless. Yes, Yeshua kept the law blamelessly, but he was not the only one. According to this place in Luke chapter 1, verse 5 and verse 6, this couple, this husband and wife, kept all the laws. They were blameless before Yah. So that's what righteous means. Also, Romans chapter 2, verse 13. "Not the hearers of the law are just, but the doers of the law will be justified." So that righteousness is so. Even though Psalm chapter 34 verse 7 is good, it's a beautiful scripture. It gives us assurance. It reassures us. And I can certainly testify, because this is a Sabbath day, this is a worship day. I have to be honest, I have to say this. I can certainly testify of that protection. The protection from Yah. The protection from his angels. But you can't see them with your naked eyes if they are not under the flesh. Sometimes, like you will see in the book of Tobit, sometimes they will take on a human flesh. In that case, you will not know. You may be able to tell from their actions, from the way they treat you and what they're doing. Because they're not going to treat you like a regular, corrupt, lying, stealing human being. They're going to treat you differently. But if you pinch them, they will feel the pain because they are under a human skin. Just like Yeshua, when Yeshua was under that flesh, he felt pain. Yeshua was tired. You know, like if you look at John chapter 4, right? In John chapter 4, you see that before he met the woman, the Samaritan woman at the well, the Bible said that he was kind of tired. He was kind of tired and kind of hungry. And the apostles then left and went into the city to go buy some stuff, to go buy food and buy things, you know, for them to eat. See, I'm saying I'm saying this because of the angels, so that you may even be dealing with an angel and you may not even know that you're dealing with an angel. Yeah, you may not, if they are under the flesh, if he's under the flesh, if you're wearing flesh, like, you know, you will not be able to tell. So in John chapter 4, it says, therefore, Therefore, from verse 1, John chapter 4 from verse 1. Therefore, when Yeshua knew that the Pharisees had that Yeshua made and baptized more disciples than John, he left Judea and departed again to Galilee, but he needed to go through Samaria. Verse 5. So he came to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near the plot of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph or Joseph. Now, Joseph's well was there. Yeshua, therefore, being wearied from his journey, sat douse by the well. It was about 6th hour. A woman of Samaria came to draw water. Yeshua said, "Give me a drink." But it says this, that in verse 6, John chapter 4 verse 6, it says that he was weary. He was kind of tired from the journey. That was a journey. And if you keep on reading, or actually in verse 8, after he asked for water, right? After he asked for water, verse 8, he says, "For his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food." So that was they were in a journey. He was tired, weary, and he was just by the well waiting for them, and they went into the city to go buy food. And then he asked for water. You will also see in Matthew chapter 4 that after he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. So, but Yeshua was not really a regular man, because he came from heaven. But the thing is that he had a human flesh. He was born and he had a human flesh. So he felt everything that you or a man would have felt in terms of physical pains and hungry and tired. So this is because of the angels, right? Because of the angels. So there are different ways. It says in Psalm 34 verse 7, "The angel of Yah encamps around those who fear him and delivers them." So they could come in spirit. If they come in spirit, you will not see them. You will not, because you can't see a spirit. You can't. It's not going to happen. You cannot see a spirit because you are not a spirit. I mean, you still have a flesh. There's a spirit in you, but that spirit is within your flesh. So you just don't have the capability right now we don't have to be able to see a spirit. So that's why you see with Balaam, the prophet, right? When his donkey spoke to him, the donkey was able to see the angel of Yah and refused to go. And he kept beating the donkey to go. Go, why are you stopping? And then the donkey spoke to him. Why are you hitting me? What have I done to you? Have I not been faithful to you? Like the donkey was saying stuff like that. But the donkey was able to see the angel. But this man was not. And then at that point, he was then allowed to be able to see. So you can't just easily see a spirit. You see, Satan is also a spirit. You can't see Satan right now because he's an angel, but he's walking. He uses people to walk. He has children. The Bible constantly talks about the children of Satan. Yeshua called people children of Satan. The Pharisees, those in the synagogue of Satan, the so-called Jews, they are described as being in the synagogue of Satan. So there are different ways. I don't want you to get too excited about Psalm chapter 34 verse 7. It's true. Psalm 34 verse 7 is true. It does happen. Yah protects and guides us, like he protected our sister in Spain and her children. He does protect and guide us. But also, you have to also remember Psalm 34 verse 19. In that same chapter, if you go to verse 19, it says, "Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but Yah delivers him out of them all." because it has to be balanced. You have to understand, even though the Yah protects you and guides you, you will also be tested. You will also be tested. You will have ups and downs. Yeshua was very upfront. That's one of the things I love about Yeshua. He was very upfront in letting you know what you're signing up for. It wasn't Christianity. Christianity says all you need to do is believe. That's it. Yeshua tells you in Matthew chapter 7, he tells you that you will have ups and downs. That way, it's a narrow way. The one that leads to life is narrow, and very few people will travel on it. That's what he said. So he was very upfront. So I cannot just show you Psalm 34 verse 7 and we'll celebrate and drink and pop champagne. But then, if tomorrow, if you start having difficulties, you'll be like, what's going on? And this is the reason why they leave Christianity. Some people leave Christianity and they become atheists because they will have problems in life and they're like, why is this happening to me? Maybe there is no God. No, just because you're suffering doesn't mean that there is no God. Look at Job. Look at Job. Was he afflicted or what? Was Job afflicted? He was much more afflicted. But look at what happened at the end. So just because Job lost all his family, his children, his wealth, that doesn't mean that Yah doesn't exist. That doesn't mean that Job was a wicked man. Job was not. Job was a righteous man. Remember, Job was keeping the law. Job was righteous. He did everything right. But then he went through afflictions. So as you're going through whatever you're going through, don't look at it as if that, think of Job. Just think of Job. Then look at Psalm 34 verse 19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but Yah delivers him all. So it's not a contradiction to verse 7 that says that the angel of Yah encamps around those that fear him. It's not a contradiction. So we should strive to fear Yah, to keep his commandment. We should strive to do that. And, we should strive to do that. About 2 hours ago, or an hour ago, I was thinking, and there's like joy in my heart. I was thinking of what I was thinking. I was basically thanking Yah in my heart for opening my eyes. I was thinking of things I could have been doing now. Honestly, I'm giving this as a testimony. Like about an hour ago, I was thinking, wow, I could have been doing this. I could have been doing this and doing this and doing this. And basically the world will look at me and say, oh man, he is successful. Because I used to be in the movie industry. And I was thinking to myself, how many movies I would have done since I put that particular business on hold. People would have looked at me and be like, oh man, he is so successful. He's doing well. That's what they will say. But I will be in sin. I will be living in sin. So I was thinking, I have joy in my heart, and I really give Yah all the glory for opening my eyes. So in the eyes of the world, I will not be considered to be successful. I will not be considered to be in the eyes of the world. But I'm so thankful to the Most High for knowing his Sabbath. I'm really thankful for knowing about this Sabbath. I was thinking, what could I have been doing? Like if I didn't know about the Sabbath, I would be missing out on a lot. Just not knowing about the Sabbath, the true Sabbath. So there's a lot to be. We have a reason to thank the Most High and for everything. So even though we want to be righteous, we want to fear him, that we're not going to be afflicted. That doesn't mean, look at Job. Look at Yeshua. Remember that Yeshua was homeless. So look at Paul. Look at all these people. So just because you are having a hard time doesn't mean that Yah is not with you. No. Just because you're having a difficult time doesn't mean no. Just focus on keeping the law. Just focus on keeping the law. You know, just because this is not the final place. This is not the destination. This is not we're just passing by. We're going somewhere. You know, so we're going somewhere. This is not it. This is not the final place for us. So down here, over here, right now, we will have problems. We will have persecutions. We will struggle. Sometimes for food. Sometimes for basic things. But that doesn't mean that Yah is not with you. I mean, look at in the same chapter, right? In the same chapter, Psalm 34. In the same chapter, in verse 7, it tells you that the angel of Yah encamps all around those who fear him and delivers them. Then in verse 19, it also tells you that the righteous, many are the afflictions of the righteous. Go look up the word affliction and see what it means. Look it up. Look up the Hebrew word for affliction. And you see that those things that the definition that you see there, the meaning of afflictions, all those things that you see that are the meaning of afflictions, sometimes you will go through that. It doesn't mean that Yah is not with you. It doesn't mean that Yah hates you. Same thing with Job. So you might want to read the book of Job. Okay? Sometimes hard times, difficult times are actually good. Afflictions are actually very good. Sometimes Yah will do something like that to give glory to himself, so that then when you are afflicted and you run to him and you pray to him, you trust on him, then he delivers you. It reminds you of who you are. It reminds you. So it's good sometimes. And also, it keeps you from sinning. That's why, if you look in the world right now, go and check it out. You will see that this is true. You will see that in the African countries, you may know what I'm talking about. You may not know, but go and see go and study and see if it's true. In the African countries, or in the poor countries, in poor countries, they tend to believe in God more than in the Western countries. So in Europe and Asia, those countries that have the things that they want, those countries that don't lack material things, they don't believe in God as much as in the poor countries. You go to poor countries, people who don't have much, they believe in God, they pray to God, even though they are doing it through Christianity. But still, it's better than somebody that tells you that there is no God. And then you see those people that have material wealth, they don't need God. What do they need God for? That's why Solomon said, don't make me rich and don't make me poor. Don't make me rich, because if I'm rich, I will forget you. It's true. Read Deuteronomy chapter. Actually, we will use Deuteronomy chapter 8 as our Torah right now before we close up. We were going to go to Leviticus 19. But let's go to, since we're already in this topic, as we're going into the Torah, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 8, and you will see what I'm talking about. So it basically becomes the same message, the same thing that we are looking at right now. So it's important to know this and keep this in mind, because tough time may come, or tough time may be here right now for you, or it may come. But you need to understand so that you don't get dismayed, so that you don't get discouraged. So Solomon said, don't make me rich because I will forget you. And don't make me poor, because I will steal and blaspheme your name. I will steal and, so, it's when you have everything you need, or everything you think that you need, you will most likely forget the Most High. Now, people will say, no, it's not going to happen to me. No, not me. No, not me. It's true. When you have everything you need, you will forget the Most High. So let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 8. Deuteronomy chapter 8. I want you to hear it from Yah's word, for you to see what I'm talking about. So Yah intentionally did something to the Israelite. Having everything you need is not good. It's actually not good. Having, you can actually forget the Most High. Deuteronomy chapter 8, and that will be our Torah for today. Okay, so Deuteronomy chapter 8, I will read from verse 1. Deuteronomy chapter 8, please read along. I'm reading from New King James. Read along and also pay attention to this, because sometimes, you can miss one word and then you miss the point. So just pay attention. I'm showing you this for a reason. Look at what Yah says here. Just look at this and then you think about it and just meditate on it. Because that will give you an idea of how Yah thinks. You can actually find out how Yah thinks from His word. And how He wants you, what He expects of you, or what so you can see things from Yah's perspective, from His point of view. So Deuteronomy chapter 8, from verse 1. We may also go into chapter 9. Yah says this: every commandment, Deuteronomy chapter 8 from verse 1, every commandment which I commanded you today, you must be careful to observe, that you may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which Yah swore to your fathers. Verse 2, and you shall remember Yah, your Elohim. And you shall remember that Yah, your Elohim, led you all the way these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you and test you, and to know what was in your heart, whether you will keep His commandment or not. So now you see the first thing first. Think about this. Just think about this. Yah led them for 40 years from Egypt to the wilderness. It does not take 40 years to travel from Egypt to the wilderness. Absolutely not. By foot, even if you're making a journey one day out of a week, once a week, it will not take you 40 years to go from Egypt to the wilderness, or Egypt to Israel. No, it will not take you 40 years. But Yah intentionally made them to wander around, just to test them, to see if they will keep His commandment. You see, Yah was doing a purge, to purge out the rebellious ones, so that they will die in the wilderness, because He doesn't want them to enter into the promised land. So that was why there was a delay. That's why they wandered around, so that those that refuse to keep His commandment will die off. And that was exactly what happened. They all died off. Only their children that kept the law. So that was intentional. The Bible says it here. This is from the word of Yah. It was intentionally done to test the people. So when you're going through hard times, it could be a test from Yah. I spoke to 2 different young men yesterday in 2 different states with similar issue. They want to keep the law, they want to keep the Sabbath, but they had family or financial issues that are standing in their way. So, and 2 of them said something similar. I spoke to them at 2 different times of the day, but they said something very similar. The person I spoke to earlier said, what if I keep working on the Sabbath so I can save up some money and then be able to keep the Sabbath? I was like, no, you can't. I was like, you can't do that. What if you, I was like, he said that to me, and I asked him, what if you die while you're doing that? Like, what if something happens? You only have a chance while you are alive. You have a chance while you are alive. Once you die, that's it. So Satan is going to tell you that, oh, well, you can break the law right now, and then maybe in 2 months' time, then you can. No, if something happens to you right now, you're done. You are done. Your chapter is closed. There's no repentance after death. And then the other one said something similar. What if he's like 16. So he's like, and his family, his mother won't let him keep the Sabbath. So he's like, what if I just keep on acknowledging it? He was like, what if I just keep it in my heart and just acknowledge it and wait till I turn 18? I was like, I said similar thing. No, I'm not going to be a Christian pastor and water down the word of Yah and tell you what you want to hear. No, the answer is no. You can't do that. What if you die while you're doing that? Now is the time for repentance. This is the time for repentance. You can't put this thing off and say, okay, what if I do it till, because Yah could be testing you. Because he already told you in Matthew chapter 10 from verse 34 that he did not come to bring peace, but sword, and that there will be problems between family members. Why? Because you will be trying to keep the law. They will try to stop you from keeping the law. So, what you're going through could be a test from Yah to test you, to see if you will obey. Because then what happens is maybe you're going through some situation that you're being forced to, you're not able to find a job or something. You're being forced to, in order for you to survive or to eat or pay your rent or whatever, you have to break the Sabbath. That will be a test from Yah to see what you will do. So those hard times you're going through will be an affliction. Are you going to just give up and roll over? Then you fail the test. So you see that the people were being tested here in the wilderness for 40 years to see if they will keep the commandment. But it doesn't end there. As we read on, you see the things that they went through. It says, and you, Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 2. Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 2. And you shall remember that Yah, your Elohim, led you all the way these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you and test you, to know whether it was in your heart, to know what was in your heart, whether you will keep his commandment or not. Verse 3. So he humbled you and allowed you to hunger. Oh my goodness. So Yah allowed the Israelites to become hungry. Yah allowed the Israelites to go hungry. That's what it says in the Bible. That's not what Tobiah is saying. That's what Moses said. that Yah allowed the Israelites to go hungry. Verse 3. Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 3. So he humbled you, allowed you to hunger, and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your father. No, did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man shall not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that proceeded from the mouth of Yah. Verse 4. Your garment did not, this is the quote that Yeshua quoted to Satan in Matthew chapter 4. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yah. So Yeshua was quoting this place. Yeshua knew the scripture. He was quoting this. Verse 4. Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 4. Your garment did not wear out on you, nor did your foot swell for these 40 years. Verse 5. You should know in your heart that as a man chastises his son, so Yah your Elohim chastises you. So Yah do punish us. Yah do chastises us. Yah has a relationship. He often describes his relationship with us as a relationship between a father and a son. He chastises us when it's time to do that. Verse 6. Therefore you shall keep the commandments of Yah your Elohim, to walk in his ways, to fear him. Speaking of Yah chastising us, Yah does not chastise those who are not his children. He doesn't do that. He will, but not yet. So that's why you see the wicked. That's why you see the Gentiles. You see the wicked, they prosper, they live in big houses, they drive big cars, they do all these things, but that doesn't mean that they are at peace with Yah. It doesn't mean that they are at peace with Yah. Just because, you see, we tend to judge by materialism. We tend to judge, oh, look at that car, look at his shoe, look at his handbag, look at this, look at that, look at that. Those things doesn't really mean anything, because in the worldly definition, that's what success is. But then watch those that have all those things, then they leave it and they die. They don't take any of those things. On that day that they are laying there in that coffin, do you think they are thinking about their gold watch and Rolls Royce and big mansions? No. It's all vanity. It's all useless. It means nothing. But if I say that it means nothing, people will be like, oh, you're saying it because you don't have it. You're saying it because you don't have. That's why. No, but truly, if you have ever seen a dead body lay in a coffin, if you ever seen it's good to actually see a dead body, because it reminds you of your own, what's coming for you. When you see a dead body laying there, that man or woman is not thinking of their children or their whatever they have or whatever. They're not thinking of any of that. They are not thinking they're not taking anything with them. So when Yah punishes his children, like he punished David, but he punishes his children right away because he's not going to do it later. So when you sin, he punishes you right away. If Yah doesn't punish you, you should be worried. You should freak out. Something is wrong. That means you don't know Yah. If Yah doesn't punish you, there's a big problem. There is a big problem. You are in trouble. You rather have him punish you now than later. So that's why you see the Gentiles. They do whatever they want, and they do whatever they want. But they have big punishment coming. They are doomed. They are not going to be saved. So that's why you see with David, when David sinned, he prayed to Yah for Yah to forgive him. Yah said, yeah, I have forgiven you. Yah forgave David. Yah said that he forgave David, but he still punishes David. In Jeremiah, Yah said that he will protect us. He was saying something like he will protect us, he will save us, he will gather us, he will do this, but that he will not let us go unpunished. That's what a good father will do. When I punish my son, if I have a child, when I punish my child, it doesn't mean that I hate my child. It's not that. It's not because I hate him. So it's actually to teach him a lesson. It's for his own good. That's why most people who were physically punished or spanked or beaten by their parents when they were young, now that they are old, they actually think it's good that their parents did that. You watch children, little children that are not disciplined, spanked, beaten when they were young. Most of the time they turn out to be brats. They turn out to be criminals, prostitutes, and they insult anyone, anywhere, anytime, because nobody disciplined them when they were young. And that's why you see in the Western countries, in the Western world, they are against you spanking your child. But behind closed door, they do spank their children. Behind closed door, I have seen white people, white kids, casually talking about how their parents spanked them with belt, how their parents punished them and beat them with belt. And I was thinking to myself, wow. I was thinking, you see, I wish I was able to record that, because you see a lot of our people who don't physically spank their children. The Bible said you should do that. But if you're following the Gentiles, the Europeans, if you're following them, you're not going to do that. You're not going to spank your child, but they themselves are doing it behind closed door. They do it. It's not an isolated thing. Many of them do spank their children behind closed door. But if you spank your child, they take your child away from you. Why is that? Because Satan is the one who is guiding them. Satan is guiding them. So whatever the Bible said that we should do in one way or the other, they will make law or find a way to make you not to do it. What the Bible said that we should not do, is the one that they will make you to do. So it's really that clear. So Yah do punish his people. If you do something wrong, I have given you guys 2 incidents where I wronged people. I ran to go take care of that situation with them, and apologized and did what I was supposed to do, with them, and corrected the situation and the misfortune that was coming on me. It was so bad. I knew that something was wrong. I knew it was like car accident, this, that. Like there was so many stuff happening to me. I knew that wasn't just a regular. I knew. And one of them, when I came to him and paid him back and took care of that situation with him, he said, whatever I have said against you, whatever prayer, all the prayers I prayed against you, all the bad things, all the things, he said something like that, all the bad things I wished on you, all the prayers I prayed against you, I take it back. Let it not happen to you. That's what this guy said. But before I came to him to settle the situation with him, I knew that he was praying against me. I knew that. And because I wronged him, Yah had his prayer. And I was like, it was like a hell on, it was hell for me. I was having so many problems left and right, like so many things, like things that are not like normal was happening to me. I knew, and I went and I took care of that situation. And he, interesting enough, he said exactly, I wasn't surprised when he said that, because I knew that he was praying against me. So, and Yah came hard on me. So Yah do chastise his children. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 5. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 5. You should know in your heart that as a man chastises his son, so Yah your Elohim chastises you, chastens you. Verse 6. Therefore you shall keep the commandment of Yah your Elohim, to walk in his ways and to fear him. Verse 7. For Yah your Elohim is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains, of springs that flows out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of wines, of fig trees, of pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey. Verse 9. A land in which you will eat bread without scarcity, in which you will lack nothing, a land whose stones are in iron, and out of whose hills you can dig copper. Verse 10. When you have eaten and are full, then you shall bless Yah your Elohim for the good land which he has given you. Verse 11. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 11. Beware that you do not forget Yah your Elohim by not keeping his commandment, his judgment, and his statutes which I command you today. This is the important part. This is why we're reading this. This is the important part right now. Verse 11. Beware that you do not forget Yah your Elohim by not keeping his commandment, his judgment, and his statutes which I command you today. Verse 12. Lest when you have eaten and are full, and have built beautiful houses and dwell in them. Verse 13. And when your herds and your flock multiply, and your silver and your gold are multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, when your heart is lifted up, and you forget Yah your Elohim, and who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, who led you through that great terrible wilderness, in which were fiery serpents and scorpions, and thirsty land where there was no water, who brought water for you out of the flinty rock, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your father did not know, that he might humble you, and that he might test you to do you good in the end. Then you say in your heart, my power and my might and my hand have gained me this wealth. And you shall remember Yah your Elohim, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he swore to your fathers, as it is this day. Then it shall be, if you by any means forget Yah your Elohim, and follow other gods, and serve them, and worship them, I testify against you this day that you shall surely perish, as the nations which Yah destroy before you. So you shall perish because you will not be obedient to the voice of Yah. So, if you look at verse 11, beware that you do not forget Yah your Elohim by not keeping his commandment, his judgment, his statutes which I command you this day. Verse 12, lest when you have eaten and are full, and have built beautiful houses, dwell in them, and when your herds and your flock multiply, your silver and your gold are multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied. When your heart is lifted up, and you forget Yah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, who led you through the great terrible wilderness in which were fiery serpents and scorpions and thirsty land where there was no water, who fed you in the where there was no water, who brought water for you out of the flinty rock. Verse 16, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers did not know, that he might humble you, and that he might test you to do you good in the end. Verse 17, look at verse 17. Then you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gained me this wealth. And you shall remember Yah your Elohim. So that's the point, the reason why we're reading this, because once you have everything you need, you will most likely forget the Most High. Now, people will say, most people, maybe not you, but most people will say that, no, that's not me. That's not going to happen. That's not me. Most people will say, look at Abraham. Wasn't he wealthy? Look at Solomon. Wasn't he wealthy? People point to Solomon most of the time when they want to make this argument. They will say, look at Solomon. Wasn't he wealthy? Well, it was also that same wealth that got Solomon in trouble, because that wealth attracted pagan women. And if you are a man, you know that it may be easy to fend off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 women. But when it's constantly happening, when they are constantly coming to you, constantly, you have men wanting you to marry their daughters. You have women wanting you to marry their daughters. You are constantly. It's hard to do that for a long period of time. Eventually, you will, if you're not careful, you will fall. You will fail. You will fail. You will fall for it. So that was what happened to Solomon. Solomon did not get into trouble because he married multiple women. It was just that the type that he married, that was what got him in trouble. Because then that wealth attracts all kinds of things. That wealth attracts all kinds of people. Many of them are not sincere. Many of them are not sincere at all. But they will pretend as if they are sincere because they want some of that wealth. They want some of that wealth. They want to become one of the wives and have children, so in that way they can get the inheritance. So eventually that thing that he prayed in prayer kind of happened to him. So it's easy to forget the Most High when you have everything you need. That's why you see the Most High, because then what for? Why do you need God? Like what do you need him for? That's why this thing doesn't make sense to the Americans. Like the Gentiles, they don't really understand. It doesn't make sense to them. They feel like they have everything they need. And look at what it says in Deuteronomy, right? It talks about not for you not to think that you acquired the things you have yourself. Don't think that you acquired it, because Yah is the one that gives you strength to get wealth. But look at how people think, today, that they worked hard. We worked hard. We earn everything we have. Look at that. The Western mentality. Trust in yourself. Believe in yourself. That is absolutely not biblical. Trust in yourself. Believe in yourself, and all that. So if you look at Deuteronomy chapter 8, the point that it's making is to trust in Yah, and to follow Yah, and to worship Yah, no matter what, whether good or bad, whether you have everything you need, whether you are lacking something, whatever that thing is to trust in Yah, to follow Yah, to not forget Yah. And according to this, the way you forget Yah is by not keeping the commandment. If you stop keeping the commandment, then you have forgotten Yah. If you stop keeping the commandment, then you have forgotten him. That's what it's saying here. So we have to be very careful, and we have to also understand that we will go through trouble. We will go through troubles. We will have afflictions. If you have time, look up the meaning of affliction. You see the things that are under that. Look it up in Hebrew if you can. If you can't, maybe if you want, I can post it up here for you. You look up what it means to be, to be afflicted. It says that many are afflictions of the righteous, but Yah delivers him all from them, delivers him from them all. So, just because you're having hard time doesn't mean that Yah is against you. And just because you have wealth and have everything you need and you lack nothing doesn't mean that Yah is with you. No, it doesn't mean that. So we have to be very careful not to let. That's why if you look at the kind of lifestyle that Yah wants us to live, that lifestyle will pretty much be considered to be poor. It's a poor lifestyle, the way he wants us to live. But most people will totally not want to live that way. Most people will disagree with that. Yah wants us to live a very simple lifestyle where we don't have to be too distracted. As soon as you begin to seek wealth and seek for this and seek for that, for the future and this, it's easy to then break the Sabbath. It's easy to not keep the feast, and so. But all praises and all glory to the Most High. At least, you let this be a reminder for you that whatever you're going through, or whatever that you will go through in the future, understand that that's normal. That is normal. There's nothing wrong with that. But whatever you're going through, whether things are going well for you, whether it's going bad, whatever happens, just keep on fearing Yah by keeping his commandment. Because that's the way that those angels will not encamp around somebody that breaks the law and delivers that person. No. Because if somebody is, the angel is not going to be around there protecting you when you are lying. The angel is not going to be protecting you when you are stealing, when you are committing sexual sin, when you are doing. The angel will not be there. It's impossible, absolutely impossible. That's why it says that the angel of Yah encamps around those that fear Yah. Those are the ones that the angel will protect. So you have to. That means that we have to. I have to make sure that every minute of the day, that the things I'm doing is according to the word of Yah. That I'm not going against the word of Yah by breaking the law. Because there's no way the angels will be there to protect you. And then just because you're having a tough time also doesn't mean that Yah have forgotten you. That's why I say that whatever that thing is, it could be a punishment. It could be a test. Because Yah will test you. You will find yourself in a situation sometimes where you may lose everything, or where you will, you find yourself in a situation where you need money or something or whatever, and the option you have is that in order to get that thing, you have to break the Sabbath in order to get it, or if you don't break the Sabbath, then you won't get it. Then that's a test. It's a test right there. But it will come to you in form of an affliction. It will come as an affliction. But typically in a situation like that, you're put into a situation where you have to make a decision. Either to break the Sabbath and get what you need, or to not break the Sabbath and not get what you need. It's a test from Yah. So that's why I say that whatever happens, just fear him. Just keep the law. If it's a punishment from him, then by you keeping the law, then you can get away from the punishment. Like the example that I gave you. So I had to go back to go make things right with those people, to go pay them back or whatever. Then in that case, that punishment went away. But if I became stubborn and refusing not to go pay them back, then the punishment will continue. So we have to be careful, and as we go on this journey, so that even if you don't have food to eat, it doesn't mean that Yah hates you. It doesn't mean that, don't start questioning, am I really doing the right thing? What am I doing? You know, I could have been doing this. I mean, look at the Israelites, right? Look at our ancestors. The Bible says that Yah made them to be hungry, just to test them. He made them to be hungry. And look at how they responded to that test. What happened? They began to complain. They began to test the Most High. They began to complain and say, oh, when we were in Egypt, we used to eat this, we used to eat that, we used to do this, we used to do that. That's what they were complaining. So they failed the test. But it's important to remember and keep in mind that Yah intentionally made them to go hungry, to test them. Because if they had everything that they need, they were eating and drinking and partying and doing everything, and if Yah provided everything for them, then, you know, if he provided everything for them, then they don't really, they have not suffered, they have not, you know, they won't know the value, and they will not also value their relationship with Yah. But if they go into a situation where there are hardship and things like that, you know, you go through a hardship, you go through hunger, you go through all this, like Yeshua went in Matthew chapter 4, and you at the end, you continue to keep the law, you refuse to break the law, then you've been tested. Then, you know, you've given something, you've sacrificed, you know, pleasure and sacrificed things. So you will value your relationship more with the Most High, because you've given up things. You've given up the way you really like to dress. You've given up, you know, working in that bigger company and making more money or whatever. So that makes your relationship more valuable. So, but it's important to keep in mind that Yah made these people to be hungry, just to test them, you know. So when you find yourself in that situation, when I find myself in that situation, the answer is not to go break the law in order to solve the problem of the hunger. No, that's the wrong way to do it. The answer is to, no matter how difficult it is, to keep on struggling and keep on trying until that problem goes away. Because just like Job, right? Job was tested. He lost everything. He was afflicted so hard. But at the end, what happened? Yah blessed him even more because he passed the test. He was blessed and he was, you know. So all glory and all praises to the Most High for everything. Most importantly, I cannot thank him enough for opening our eyes. Because if he did not open our eyes, we would not even be here. So all the knowledge, all the understanding, all these things comes from him. He's the one that have blessed us, opened our eyes, and allowed us to know these things and to, you know. So I also pray and hope for strength. I pray for strength. I hope for strength. Strength for all of us, for him to give us strength to keep on going, because this is a journey. For him to give us strength and strengthen us to keep us going in this journey. And if possible, if it's his will, to, I know I may be asking for too much, but to not tempt us, because, you rather not be tempted, because being tempted, like Job was tempted, right? It's painful. Nobody wants to be tempted. That's why we say, lead us not into temptation. So I hope that Yah will not lead us into temptation, so that we can have a smooth journey in this journey. And I hope that he will strengthen us and give us strength to continue going. But also us, we have to keep in mind that when we do go through afflictions, it will happen once in a while. It doesn't mean don't give up. So all praises and all honor to the Most High, who have given us life, which is the most important. At least if you're not alive, if you don't have life, you're not going to be around for your eyes to be open. Your eye will be in the grave. So all glory to the Most High for opening our eyes and giving us strength and good health, and allowing us to understand these things and to be here. I can't thank him enough. I can't thank him for myself. It's amazing. It's amazing. If I go to hell, I will still thank the Most High. At least that he gave me the opportunity to know the truth. So now it's on me now I know the truth now. So it's now up to me. Like Paul said in Philippians chapter 2 verse 12. Work out your own salvation. It's now up to me. Yah have laid it out in front of me. Here are the blessings. Here are the curses. It's up to me to choose. So I can't thank him enough for everything he's done for us, giving us the opportunity to know these things and to know his Sabbath and to be here today to keep the Sabbath. Tomorrow is also a new moon day. Tomorrow is a new moon day. Hopefully Yah's will meet tomorrow at the same time tomorrow for the new moon worship. Most likely probably be a one-day new moon day, but most likely. But we'll see when we get there. So all praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High for everything he has done and he's doing. I thank him for your lives and the lives of your family. I hope that one day they will come to you and begin to ask you questions about this thing that you're doing. What is this thing that you're doing? I really hope. That's why I mentioned them that, for Yah, all praises to the Most High, for giving us life and our families also, because it will be a joyful thing for our family members to also wake up. It may not happen, which is sad, but it will really be good for them to, because what Yah does is, you see, I kept saying that Yah opened our eyes, right? Yeah, he opened our eyes. But what Yah does is that he lets you see the truth. Yah does not want robots. He doesn't deal with robots. We're not robots. He gave us will to choose. That's why he said, here are the blessings and here are the curses. Decide what you want to do. So what Yah does is he puts the truth in front of you. If you reject it, okay, good. If you accept it and start asking questions and start learning and begin to practice and begin to obey, then he gives you more information. Then he opens your eyes more. That's why typically you learn about the Sabbath, and then you learn about his name, you learn about who you are, you learn about all those other things will begin to come. But it starts with one. And when that one comes, you reject it, you most likely reject every other thing. So you are the one that makes the first move. Then Yah will make the rest of the move by then strengthening you, giving you strength, opening your eyes more and more and giving you more and more understanding, or sending a teacher to you to teach you, or things like that. Yah will do that, Yah will do that. So there's this video I have on YouTube that people watch it a lot, about the Sabbath. Many people watch it and they ignore it. Many people watch it and they start asking questions and they contact me and things like that. So that's how Yah works. So he will show you the truth. He will let the truth come across to you, because everybody will get a chance, even the Gentiles. One way or the other, you will come across the truth. If you reject it, okay, you're done. No more will come by. Even if they come by, you continue rejecting. You will continue to reject it. But if you see if you say something about the Sabbath or marriage or whatever, you begin to look at it and you accept it, then Yah will then open your eyes for more information to come in. So when I say that all glory to Yah for opening our eyes, and then I talk about our family members, it doesn't mean that Yah just opened our eyes and just blinded our family members. It doesn't mean that if Yah doesn't open your eyes, then you can't see. No. It's just that that first move, this is biblical. What I'm talking about right now is biblical. What I'm talking about right now is biblical. If you go to Deuteronomy chapter 4. Deuteronomy chapter 4, you will see. At the end of Deuteronomy chapter 4, look at what it says. At the end of Deuteronomy chapter 4. So Moses said this. Moses said this. Deuteronomy chapter 4. Deuteronomy 4:27. Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 27. Look at this. Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 27. And Yah will scatter you among the people, and you will be left few in numbers. So let me start from a place that to cover what he was saying. Let's start from verse 23. Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 23. Deuteronomy 4:23. Take heed to yourself, lest you forget the covenant of Yah your Elohim, which he made with you, and make for yourself carved image in form of anything which Yah your Elohim has forbidden you. Verse 24. For Yah your Elohim is a consuming fire, a jealous Elohim. When you begot children and grandchildren and have grown old in the land and act corruptly and make carved image in the image of anything, and do evil in the sight of Yah your Elohim to provoke him to anger. Verse 26. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that you will soon utterly perish from the land which you cross over Jordan to possess. You will not prolong your days in it, but will be utterly destroyed. Verse 27. And Yah will scatter you among the people, and you will be left few in numbers among the nations, where Yah will drive you. Verse 28. And there you will serve gods, the work of man's hand, wood and stone, which neither see nor bear, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. Verse 29. Verse 29. But from there you will seek Yah your Elohim, and you will find him. If, this is a big if, big gigantic if. This is not a small if. This if is important to see this if. So it says in verse 29, Deuteronomy chapter 4:29. But from there you will seek Yah your Elohim, and you will find him. If you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. When you are in distress and all these things come upon you in the later days. So this is not talking about that time. This was a prophecy talking about the future, which is the time that we're living in right now. Because Moses talked about this thousands of years ago. This is we were scattered. We were scattered, and that's what we're living right now. This is that later days. So Moses was talking about in the later days, if you seek Yah with all your heart and with all your soul. In the later days, that if there is big if. If we will only find Yah, if we seek him with all our heart and with all our soul, then we will find him. It doesn't say that Yah will just suddenly start opening everybody's eyes. That Yah will begin to reveal himself to everyone. No. Only those that seek him with all their heart and with all their soul, they are the ones that will find him in that later days. This is the later days. Verse 29, but from there, the place that he scattered us, but from there you will seek Yah, and you will find him, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. Verse 30, when you are in distress, and all these things come upon you, the curses of Deuteronomy 28, all these things come upon you in the later days, when you turn to Yah, your Elohim, and obey his voice. Verse 31, for Yah your Elohim is merciful Elohim. He will not forsake nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers, which he swore to them. So the point is that for our family members, or for you, when this happened to you, there was a time something happened to you. And what happened to you was that you used to be a Christian. And then one way or the other, you saw a video, or you saw something, or you had somebody, or something happened, and you began to ask questions, and you realized that something was wrong, and you begin to seek out the truth. And here you are today. And a year from now, you're going to know even more. Every day you're going to be learning more and more and more, and you're going to be growing spiritually and growing and growing and growing. So 5 years from now, you're going to know even a lot more things. The things I know now was not the things I know 5 years ago. The things I know now was not the things I know 10 years ago. So every day you know more. Every day you grow. Every day Yah opens your eyes. Slowly to different information. The more Yah opens your eyes, the more you learn, the more crazier you become to the world. Because you're learning deep stuff. The things of Yah. So for our family member, it's important to understand that when I say that Yah opened our eyes, Yah opens your eyes when you accept the truth for the first time. Then he will open your eyes and reveal more things to you. Then you will find out about his name. Then you will find out about the new moon days. Then you will find out about how to raise your children, true biblical marriage. Found out about things. Found out that you don't have to give your cash, your money to anybody as tithes and offering. There's a lot of things that you will find out. There's a lot of things that we haven't studied here. There's a lot of things that I will show you guys that will benefit you a lot. How to have good health according to the Bible. How to have good health. How to eat. What you're supposed to be eating. And things like that. Things that will benefit you. I have benefited so much. I have good health right now. I have 100% good health. And things physically, things change. The way I look now was not the way I used to look when I was a Christian. So I have become much more healthier now than I was when I was a Christian and I was eating junk and things like that. So these are things that begins to happen, but they happen slowly. Like you go step by step, because Yah doesn't want to overwhelm you with information. So when Abraham, same thing happened to Abraham. When Abraham began to follow Yah, Yah told him to go back and read the books that was written before him. It took Abraham about 6 months to finish doing that. Yah could have just opened his mind and put all this information inside there, and Abraham will know those things immediately. No, but there was a process. It took Abraham about 6 months to study those books. So when I talk about our family members, some of them will be saved, some of them will not. Some of them will listen to you, some of them will not. But at the end of the day, the reason why I went to Deuteronomy chapter 4, that at the end of the day, everyone will have to make their own decision. Yah cannot start revealing his truth to a rebellious person. Somebody that hears about the Sabbath and decide that they don't want to keep it, or start making excuses, or start giving argument and making argument and giving excuses, Yah will not deal with them. They cannot. If you tell them that Yah's name is Yah, they will think you're crazy. If you tell them, they will not be able to go further because they block that very first information. They refuse to accept the Sabbath, so the other things will be blocked away. So even though Yah is the one that opens our eyes, we are required to make the first move. Like you see in Deuteronomy chapter 4. It says, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul, we are required to make the first move. Then we will find Yah. That's the way it is. So that's why I thank Yah, first of all, for us, for opening our eyes and letting us to understand all of this truth. There will be a lot more things that you're going to learn in his truth. There's a lot of things that many people doesn't know that you're going to learn. Some of them will be very exciting, and you will be happy to find out about some of them. Some of them will be very challenging. Some things you're going to find out from this Bible will challenge you, and challenge the things that you know, challenge the things that you've been taught, challenge the things that you think was true. Some will be good, some may not be very good in terms of how you accept it. So, but whatever happens, accept the word of Yah with free mind, with open mind. Whether it's convenient or inconvenient, just accept it. The ones that are inconvenient, eventually they will become convenient. The ones that seem like they are hard, eventually they will become easy. Like when you start keeping the Sabbath. In the beginning, it seems like it's a burden, but then you begin to enjoy it. Now it's so much part of my life, I look forward to it. It's part of my life now. So, and that's what happens. So, all praises and all glory to the Most High. I hope that, if you have an opportunity, keep talking to your family members. And I hope and pray that they will make the first move, because they are the one that has to make the first move. And then Yah will then open their eyes, and they will begin to see things. That was why, and I'm going to close with this. And that was why when I found out about the Apocrypha, I felt like a kid in the candy store. When I bought my first Apocrypha and began to read it, oh my goodness, I was so happy. I'm still very grateful and thankful to the Most High for the Apocrypha. The book, all the books, the book of Jubilee, all these books, Second Extra, Maccabees, all these books, because those books opened my eyes was open even more through those scriptures. They are scriptures. All those scriptures, those Apocrypha, the Apocrypha is scripture. So they opened my eyes even more. I learned a lot more. So that's what happens. But if I had kept on saying that we don't have to keep the law, if I had believed that we don't have to keep the law, then the book of Apocrypha means nothing. Then the Sabbath means nothing. Then the name of Yah means nothing, because we are under grace, which is, So I hope that Yah will open the eyes of our family members, but first they have to make the first move. All praises and all glory and all honor to the Most High for this Sabbath day. And hopefully I will see you tomorrow for the new moon day worship at the same time. I pray and hope that Yah will guide you and send his angel to protect and be with you at all times. But most importantly, I really wish that Yah will strengthen us all and give us strength to continue going on this journey, so that we will not thirst so much and we will not be hungry so much, because those things sometimes will then cause us distraction, in the journey. So I hope that Yah will be with you all, protect you all, send his angels to guide and protect and be with you all and give you strength in Yeshua's name.